Ocelot. We have to.
What do you need, a seeing eye dog?
6 months sober.
Now that's what I'm talking.
Inside!
Copy.
Quarter.
Copy.
Time to improvise!
Got shot. You'll live.
Oh, maybe not.
I'm coming in. Christmas, where are you? Don't let her mind. Leave with us dead.
Hey, losers! We're going shopping! Move in!
That's an order.
You what?
Hey guys, today we're diving headfirst into the explosive, over-the-top world of Expend4bles, a movie that truly understands the phrase, more is more. Get ready for a high-octane recap where every punch lands with a satisfying thud and every explosion shakes the very foundations of your speakers. We're going to break down the biggest brawls, the most impossible escapes, and the truly wild twists that this latest installment throws at us. I put a lot of work into these, so if you like what you see, a like and a subscribe is always appreciated. No worries if not.
Oh, my friends.
See you, right?
Yeah, probably not.
Nobody here.
Get loud.
¡Hey, puta!
See you later, I'm a little busy right now.
How you doing, Rabbit?
Come and get it, hero.
Bye.
12 minutes.
They're never making a tank.
Hold.
It's a great idea. Mission first. I gotta turn the ship around. Sir, we're headed back out to sea.
Low, we can't go up.
Take him down! Get out!
You're a very good soldier. Barney.
The fuck?
Hey! You're welcome!
What the fuck is happening?
Hold on. Where are the nukes? Up and 8 of my team got wiped out.
Ocelot. Why'd you keep...
You understand?
Do you hold behind? Yeah, to leave no.
Overline the general.
You're gonna need backup.
Our story kicks off, as all good action stories do, in the scorching heat of Libya. The sun beats down mercilessly on a desolate landscape, the air thick with dust and the smell of impending chaos. We find our veteran squad, the Expendables, gearing up for what they do best, neutralizing threats with extreme prejudice. Barney Ross, ever the stoic leader, surveys the scene with that familiar grizzled look, the lines etched deep on his face telling 1,000 tales of past battles. Lee Christmas, his trusted knife expert, is right by his side, fidgeting with his blades, a slight smirk playing on his lips. Gunnar Jensen, the towering, wild-eyed brute, is already twitching with anticipation, his heavy machine gun practically a part of his arm. Toll Road, the demolition man, checks his explosives with practiced ease, probably humming a little tune only he can hear. This isn't just any mission. They're targeting a chemical weapons facility, a place where truly nasty stuff is being cooked up by some truly nasty people. The stakes, as always, are incredibly high. But this isn't just the old guard anymore. The team has some fresh, albeit equally deadly blood. Easy Day, a quick-witted operator, moves with a fluid grace, his eyes scanning for every potential threat. Lash, an agile fighter with a penchant for close-quarters combat, looks ready to dance through a hail of bullets. Gollin, a younger, more tactical operative, already shows a promising blend of brains and brawn. And then there's Gina, a formidable CIA operative, And, let's just say, Christmas's ex, which adds a whole new layer of awkward tension to the battlefield. She's all business, though, radiating competence and a no-nonsense attitude that tells you she's not to be messed with. The mission begins with a bang, naturally. The team breaches the compound, a whirlwind of controlled destruction. The crack of automatic gunfire rips through the air, punctuated by the metallic clang of spent casings hitting the ground. Explosions erupt in fiery blossoms, tearing through concrete and steel, the concussive force rattling the very camera. Gunner lets loose with his machine gun, a roaring symphony of lead, sending waves of enemy combatants scattering like leaves in a hurricane. His laughter, a deep, guttural rumble, echoes over the din of battle. Easy Day and Lash move with incredible speed, a blur of fists, feet, and precision strikes, their targets dropping with sickening thuds. Gina, leading the charge, demonstrates her own lethal proficiency, her movements efficient and utterly devastating. She's clearly not just there to make small talk with Christmas. Amidst the chaos, Barney and Christmas press forward, their movements a synchronized dance of seasoned warriors. Christmas, with his signature throwing knives, dispatches enemies with silent, deadly accuracy, each blade finding its mark with a whisper-swift trajectory and a wet thud. Barney, meanwhile, lays down cover fire with a powerful shotgun, the booming blasts echoing through the compound, sending splinters of wood and chunks of masonry flying. He moves with a calm deliberation, every shot counted, every move calculated. They're looking for something specific, a package they need to retrieve before it falls into the wrong hands. The facility is a labyrinth of dimly lit corridors and cramped workshops, smelling of chemicals and stale sweat. They encounter heavier resistance, a veritable swarm of heavily armed guards who seem to spring from every shadow. The close-quarters combat becomes even more intense, a ballet of brutality. The crunch of bones, the grunt of effort, the sharp cries of pain. It's a symphony of violence that only the Expendables could compose. They push deeper, the objective burning bright in their minds. Finally, they reach their target, a secure vault housing the chemical weapons. But they're not alone. Waiting for them is Rahamit, the notorious arms dealer, a figure cloaked in shadows and exuding an aura of cold menace. He's not just a run-of-the-mill bad guy. He's intelligent, ruthless, and clearly has a plan B for every contingency. Rahamit isn't alone either. He's surrounded by his own elite guard, all heavily armed and looking utterly humorless. A tense standoff ensues, the air crackling with unspoken threats. Barney attempts to negotiate, to reason with the devil, but Rahamit is beyond reason. He's driven by something far more sinister than mere profit. A sudden, sharp movement, a flash of a blade, a burst of gunfire. The fragile truce shatters. The fight escalates into a frantic, desperate scramble. The Expendables are outnumbered, but never outmatched. Christmas unleashes a flurry of knife throws, each one a testament to his lightning-fast reflexes. Gunner roars, laying waste to multiple targets with his relentless firepower. Toll Road strategically places charges, turning sections of the compound into temporary no-go zones for the enemy. Gina and the new recruits display their impressive skills, seamlessly integrating into the veterans' rhythm, a well-oiled machine of destruction. The weight of Barney's death hangs heavy over Christmas. He's discharged from the team, a bitter pill to swallow. Gina, now clearly stepping into a more prominent leadership role, explains that the CIA wants new blood, a fresh approach after the catastrophic failure. Christmas, feeling betrayed and cast aside, lashes out, his frustration bubbling to the surface. He's a warrior, not a desk jockey, and being sidelined feels like a deeper punishment than any prison sentence. He blames himself, he blames the situation, he blames the universe. And the argument with Gina quickly devolves into a fierce, emotionally charged exchange, their past personal history adding fuel to the fire. The chemistry is still there, but it's a volatile, explosive mix. He accuses her of everything from incompetence to insensitivity, and she fires back, reminding him of his own past recklessness. It's an uncomfortable scene, full of raw emotion. Stripped of his purpose, Christmas retreats to Thailand, a world away from the high-stakes battles he once commanded. He finds a measure of solitude and routine working in an underground fighting ring, betting on matches, his movements still precise, his instincts still sharp, but his spirit heavy. He uses his skills not for saving the world, but for making a few dollars, watching the brutal dance of combatants in the smoky, dimly lit arena. It's a far cry from leading a special ops team, but it's a way to keep the edge, to dull the pain, and to avoid facing the reality of Barney's absence. He's a ghost haunting his own life. Meanwhile, General Marsh isn't just mourning Barney, he's also scrambling to contain a growing global crisis. Ramat, it turns out, is more dangerous than anyone initially suspected. He's not just a chemical weapons dealer, he's orchestrating a much larger, more terrifying plan. Intel reveals Ramat intends to acquire multiple nuclear warheads and use them to trigger World War III, creating a global power vacuum that he plans to exploit. The sheer audacity of his plan is staggering. Marsh brings the remaining Expendables together, including Gina, Easy Day, Lash, Galan, and Toll Road. He introduces some new faces as well, Jinx, a tech whiz who can hack anything, and Marcus, a heavy weapons specialist. The team needs to be rebuilt, reforged, and ready for the impossible. Gina, now officially leading the charge, briefs the new iteration of the team. The tension is palpable. Everyone feels the ghost of Barney in the room, but the mission is too critical to let grief paralyze them. The plan is to intercept Ramat before he can obtain the warheads. The intel points to a clandestine meeting on a remote island in the South China Sea. This island is a heavily fortified fortress, teeming with Ramat's forces. It's a suicide mission for any other team, but for the Expendables, it's just another Tuesday. Meanwhile, General Marsh isn't just mourning Barney, he's also scrambling to contain a growing global crisis. Ramat, it turns out, is more dangerous than anyone initially suspected. He's not just a chemical weapons dealer, he's orchestrating a much larger, more terrifying plan. Intel reveals Ramat intends to acquire multiple nuclear warheads and use them to trigger World War III, creating a global power vacuum that he plans to exploit. The sheer audacity of his plan is staggering. Marsh brings the remaining Expendables together, including Gina, Easy Day, Lash, Galan, and Toll Road. He introduces some new faces as well, Jinx, a tech whiz who can hack anything, and Marcus, a heavy weapons specialist. The team needs to be rebuilt, reforged, and ready for the impossible. Gina, now officially leading the charge, briefs the new iteration of the team. The tension is palpable. Everyone feels the ghost of Barney in the room, but the mission is too critical to let grief paralyze them. The plan is to intercept Ramat before he can obtain the warheads. The intel points to a clandestine meeting on a remote island in the South China Sea. This island is a heavily fortified fortress, teeming with Ramat's forces. It's a suicide mission for any other team, but for the Expendables, it's just another Tuesday. Back in Thailand, Christmas is still reeling, his days a blur of fights and brooding. But fate, as it often does in these movies, has a way of dragging even the most reluctant hero back into the fray. He gets a cryptic message, a lifeline from an unexpected source, Marsh. The general has intel that the nuclear warheads Ramat is after are critical, potentially triggering global catastrophe, and that Christmas, despite his current discharged status, is needed. Marsh reveals a crucial piece of information. Barney was actually tracking Ramat's financial advisor, someone connected to a shadowy organization known as Ocelot. This name, Ocelot, resonates with Christmas. It's a name whispered in the clandestine circles, a mythical boogeyman, far more dangerous than Ramat. This revelation sparks a flicker of his old fire, Barney wasn't just chasing chemical weapons, he was chasing a ghost, a bigger monster. Determined to avenge Barney and prevent the looming disaster, Christmas seeks out Dacia, an old contact and a formidable underground fighter. Their meeting is in a grimy, noisy fight club, the air thick with sweat and the smell of cheap beer. Dacia, a man of few words but deadly skills, recognizes the desperation in Christmas's eyes. Their conversation is terse, punctuated by the grunts and cheers of the ongoing fights. Christmas needs information, a way to track Ocelot's network, and Dacia, with his deep connections in the underworld, is the only one who can provide it. Dacia initially refuses, warning Christmas of the danger, but Christmas's unwavering resolve and a subtle threat to expose Dacia's own past involvement in shady dealings eventually convinces him. Dacia gives Christmas a lead, a name, a location, a whisper of a ship that might be carrying the deadly cargo. Meanwhile, Gina's team is already on the move, infiltrating the heavily fortified island. The approach is stealthy, a nighttime insertion under the cover of darkness. They use a high-tech submersible, slipping past radar and sonar, the water a silent, inky blackness around them. The tension inside the submersible is palpable, the only sounds the hum of the machinery and the rhythmic breathing of the operatives. They emerge onto a rocky beach, the humid air heavy with the scent of salt and jungle. Their mission? Locate Ramat, secure the warheads, and neutralize any threats. The island base is a marvel of clandestine engineering, a sprawling complex built into the natural terrain, fortified with watchtowers, razor wire, and a small army of heavily armed guards. Tollroad, with his usual deadpan humor, remarks that it looks less like an island and more like a villain's vacation resort, only with more machine guns. The team splits up, moving with practiced efficiency through the dense jungle undergrowth, the chirping of unseen insects the only sound breaking the silence. Easy Day and Lash, with their agility, scout ahead, their movements silent as ghosts. Gunner provides heavy overwatch from a vantage point, his keen eyes scanning for any sign of trouble. Gina and Gallon lead the main assault force, Jinx providing invaluable intel from her portable console, hacking into the base's security systems with ease. The initial breach is flawless. Jinx disables perimeter cameras, opening a blind spot. Easy Day takes down a guard with a swift, silent movement, the man crumpling to the ground without a sound. The team moves deeper, a surgical strike force carving a path through the enemy lines. But Ramat isn't stupid. He anticipated an attack. The base is a death trap, rigged with alarms and booby traps. The first alarm blares, a jarring siren that shatters the silence, and all hell breaks loose. The compound explodes into a firefight. Gunner unleashes a torrent of lead, his machine gun roaring to life, shredding through multiple enemy combatants who rush from their barracks. The concussive blasts of Tollroad's strategically placed grenades create diversions and take out entrenched positions. Lash and Easy Day are a whirlwind of close-quarters combat, their fists and feet a blur, taking down opponents with brutal efficiency. Gina and Gallon lead the charge, their assault rifles barking, each shot finding its mark. The soundscape is a cacophony of gunfire, explosions, shouts, and the metallic clatter of armor. As they fight their way through the base, they uncover the chilling truth. Ramat is indeed present, but he's not the true mastermind. The intel Jinx uncovers points to a far more dangerous individual, a shadowy figure known only as Ocelot. Ramat is merely a pawn, a high-level lieutenant executing Ocelot's grand design. This revelation hits them hard. They've been chasing the wrong ghost. Ocelot, the legend, the ghost whispered about in clandestine circles, is real, and he's pulling the strings. The true target isn't the man with the chemical weapons, but the puppet master behind the nuclear terror. The team presses on, their urgency amplified by this new information. They find the nuclear warheads, not on the island, but being loaded onto a massive cargo ship docked at a hidden cove. The ship, a hulking behemoth, is a floating fortress, bristling with weaponry and guarded by a legion of Ocelot's most loyal enforcers. This is where the real show begins. The team attempts to secure the warheads, a desperate struggle against overwhelming odds. The cargo bay transforms into a battleground, containers providing temporary cover, bullets ricocheting off metal, sparks flying. In the midst of the chaos, Ocelot makes his grand entrance, revealing his true identity, and it's a shocker. He's not just a legendary arms dealer, he's someone from Barney's past, a figure thought long dead, someone with a deep-seated vendetta against the world, and against Barney in particular. The twist, a classic move for a franchise like this, redefines the entire conflict. Ocelot reveals that Barney's plane crash wasn't just a simple missile strike. It was a setup, a personal vendetta against his old rival. The implications are staggering, especially for Christmas, who's still carrying the weight of Barney's supposed death. Ocelot, a master manipulator, activates a dead man switch on the nuclear devices. If he dies, or if the devices are tampered with, they detonate. This adds an agonizing layer of complexity to the mission. They can't just blow him away. They need to disarm the devices, extract them, and capture Ocelot alive, or at least prevent him from triggering the apocalypse. The stakes are now astronomically high, the pressure unbearable. The team is caught between a rock and a hard place, trying to fight their way out, while also trying to figure out how to neutralize the threat without accidentally triggering global nuclear fallout. It's like playing a game of Jenga with the fate of the world hanging in the balance, and everyone else is just throwing bricks at you. Meanwhile, back in Thailand, Christmas has received his lead and is now actively pursuing Ocelot's network. He's a one-man army, following a trail of breadcrumbs through the grimy underbelly of the criminal world. He interrogates, he fights, he manipulates, using every trick he's learned from Barney and his own street smarts. He's driven by a burning desire for revenge and the need to know the truth about Barney. His path eventually converges with the cargo ship, a chance encounter that feels almost too convenient. But hey, it's an action movie, we roll with it. The sight of the massive vessel, lights blazing in the darkness, tells him he's on the right track. He sneaks aboard the ship, a silent predator moving through the labyrinthine corridors. The ship is a hive of activity, Ocelot's men swarming everywhere. Christmas, with his characteristic stealth, takes down guards silently. Each kill a swift, efficient movement, a testament to his lethal precision. The metallic clang of a dropped weapon, the soft thud of a body hitting the deck, these are the only sounds he makes. He's looking for Ocelot, looking for answers, and his rage is a controlled fire burning deep within him. His infiltration leads him to a shocking discovery. Barney Ross is alive. Yes, you heard that right. Barney, the man presumed dead, the man whose fiery plane crash left Christmas utterly broken, is not only alive, but has been working covertly to track Ocelot. His death was faked, an elaborate ruse to draw Ocelot out into the open, a classic Barney move. It's a moment of profound relief, mixed with a fierce anger for Christmas. Relief that his friend is alive, anger that he was kept in the dark, and that he endured such intense grief unnecessarily. The reunion is brief, charged with emotion, but there's no time for apologies or explanations. The world is still at stake. Barney, having tracked Ocelot for years, reveals the full scope of Ocelot's plan. He intends to detonate the nuclear warheads over international waters, creating a massive EMP blast that will plunge the world into chaos, destabilizing governments and allowing his shadowy organization to seize control. The cargo ship isn't just carrying warheads, it's a mobile launch platform armed with nuclear torpedoes. This is the ultimate escalation. It's a truly bonkers plan, but in a world where the Expendables exist, it somehow makes perfect sense. The final confrontation takes place on the deck of the colossal ship, a swirling maelstrom of metal, fire, and human fury. Gina's team, having fought their way out of the cargo hold and having learned of Ocelot's true identity, joins forces with Christmas and Barney. The combined might of the Expendables is a force of nature. Gunner unleashes a torrent of lead from his machine gun, clearing paths and creating diversions. Toll Road expertly sets charges, blowing open strategic points and disrupting enemy formations. Easy Day and Lash, working in tandem, move like a deadly ballet, taking down multiple opponents with incredible speed and agility. Gallon and Jinx provide critical tactical support, guiding their shots and identifying enemy weaknesses. Marcus adds heavy firepower, turning the ship's corridors into literal shooting galleries. Christmas, his knives a blur, engages Ocelot's elite guards, each movement precise and deadly. He's a whirlwind of steel and vengeance, his grief and anger channeled into ruthless efficiency. The crack of his punches, the wet thud of his blades, the metallic clang of weapons striking each other. It's a symphony of brutal combat. Barney, meanwhile, confronts Ocelot directly. Their fight is personal, a culmination of years of rivalry, betrayal, and a shared bloody history. It's not just a physical brawl, it's a psychological battle, a clash of wills between two aging titans. Barney, despite his age, moves with a surprising ferocity, his movements economical but devastating. The sounds of their struggle echo across the ship, punctuated by the roar of the engines and the distant blasts of explosions. Ocelot, a formidable opponent, fights with a cold, calculated precision, using every dirty trick in the book. He's faster, perhaps, but Barney is stronger, more experienced, and utterly relentless. The ship's structure groans under the strain of the battle, metal twisting, sparks flying. Christmas, after dispatching his own share of goons, rushes to Barney's aid, knowing that Ocelot is too dangerous to face alone. The three-way dynamic, Barney, Christmas, and Ocelot, forms the emotional core of the climax, a desperate struggle for control of the nuclear launch. The warheads are armed, the countdown initiated. The ship is a ticking time bomb. Jinx, frantically working at a console, tries to disable the launch sequence, her fingers flying across the holographic interface, the pressure immense. Toll Road, meanwhile, works to secure the actual physical devices, attempting to disarm them before they reach their target. The team is fighting on multiple fronts, against Ocelot's remaining forces, against Ocelot himself, and against the clock. The climax culminates in a brutal showdown between Christmas and Ocelot. Barney, wounded but not out of the fight, provides crucial support, laying down cover fire or creating diversions. Christmas, with a surge of adrenaline and a fierce determination to protect the world and avenge Barney's supposed death, pushes Ocelot to his limits. The hand-to-hand combat is visceral, bone-jarring. The impact of their blows sends shivers through the deck. Christmas finally gains the upper hand, his legendary knife skills proving superior. He disarms Ocelot, his blade held to the villain's throat, the tension electric. But Ocelot, ever the trickster, has one last card to play. He reveals a failsafe, a final twist that means even with him subdued, the nuclear torpedoes are still set to launch. The revelation sends a chill through the team. Jinx confirms it. The launch sequence is irreversible without the master key, which Ocelot swallows, literally. Barney, with a grim determination, realizes the only way to stop the torpedoes is to detonate them prematurely, far from any landmass. And that means he has to pilot the ship directly into the path of its own deadly payload. It's a selfless, heroic act, a sacrifice that echoes his supposed death earlier in the movie. But this time, it's real. Christmas, seeing Barney's intent, refuses to let him go alone. Their bond, forged in countless battles, is unbreakable. He insists on staying with Barney to face the end together. But Barney, ever the protective leader, knocks him unconscious with a well-placed, loving punch. It's a bittersweet moment, a final act of brotherhood. Barney then takes the helm of the ship, steering it on a collision course with its own destiny. The rest of the team, having successfully disarmed the warheads within the ship thanks to Toll Road and Jinx's combined efforts, makes their escape in their submersible, watching in horror as the giant cargo ship, with Barney at the helm, plows into the ocean, triggering a catastrophic underwater explosion. The sheer scale of the blast sends a massive wave across the ocean, the shockwave rippling through the water, even affecting the submersible. The fiery eruption lights up the night sky, a terrifying, beautiful spectacle. It's another moment of profound loss, but this time there's no doubt. Barney is truly gone, a hero sacrifice to save the world. Or is he? In a final, classic Expendables twist that will make you roll your eyes and cheer at the same time, Christmas, regaining consciousness, finds himself pulled from the water by none other than Barney, who somehow, inexplicably, survived the explosion. Of course he did. It's Barney Ross. He always has a trick up his sleeve, even when it comes to cheating death. He was flung clear of the ship at the last second, or had a jet ski hidden in the cargo hold, or maybe he just really, really hates dying. The explanation is vague, hand-waved away with a knowing glance and a slight smirk from Barney. Christmas, battered but relieved, shares a moment of silent understanding with his indestructible friend. Their bond truly is eternal. The world is saved, Ocelot's grand scheme thwarted. The team regroups, battered but victorious. The new members, tested by fire, have proven themselves worthy of the Expendables' legacy. Gina, Easy Day, Lash, Galan, Jinx, and Marcus are now officially part of the family, ready to carry the torch. The dynamic has shifted, a new era for the team, but the core values of camaraderie, loyalty, and gratuitous violence remain firmly intact. The final scenes show the team back to their usual shenanigans, a brief moment of levity and celebration. There are jokes, shared beers, and the familiar banter that is the hallmark of their dysfunctional family. Christmas, despite everything, is finally at peace, his grief replaced by the joy of Barney's impossible survival. He and Gina share a moment of understanding, their past animosity smoothed over by the shared trauma and triumph. The world still needs heroes, and the Expendables, old and new, are ready for the next impossible mission, probably with even bigger guns and even more improbable explosions. The movie closes with a sense of continuity, promising more high-octane adventures to come. The legacy of Barney Ross, the man who just won't stay dead, firmly established. As the dust settles and the echoes of explosions fade, Expend4bles reminds us that even in a world brimming with cynicism and despair, the spirit of heroism, however grizzled and unconventional, finds a way to endure. It's a testament to the idea that true strength lies not just in firepower, but in the unwavering bonds of camaraderie, the willingness to sacrifice, and the sheer audacity to face down impossible odds. Our heroes, flawed as they may be, push past personal grievances and physical limitations, proving that legacy is less about who stands tall and more about who stands together. Their journey, ultimately, is a powerful, if explosive, reflection on courage, second chances, and the enduring power of brotherhood. Expend4bles delivers exactly what fans expect: unadulterated, old-school action fun. While it might not reinvent the wheel, it embraces its roots with enthusiasm, giving us plenty of bone-crunching fights and spectacular explosions. It's a nostalgic trip that reminds us why we fell in love with these characters in the first place, cementing their place as the ultimate band of indestructible heroes. The adventure kicks off, as all good Expendables movies do, in a dusty, sun-baked corner of the world, this time Libya. We see Barney Ross, played by Sylvester Stallone, still rocking that rugged, slightly world-weary charm, piloting his beloved plane. Beside him sits his longtime compatriot Lee Christmas, played by Jason Statham, looking as sharp and ready for a fight as ever. The rest of the classic crew is there too. Gunnar Jensen, Dolph Lundgren, who seems to have finally embraced therapy, even if it's just for his trigger finger, and Toll Road, Randy Couture, the gentle giant who always looks like he's about to wrestle a bear, but would rather just fix a transmission. This opening scene immediately establishes the familiar camaraderie, the kind forged in 1,000 firefights, though you can already hear the faint groan of a recurring gag involving Christmas and a particularly stubborn set of plane controls. Their mission? To intercept some stolen nuclear detonators before they fall into the wrong hands. The intel points them to a compound where a ruthless terrorist named Rahmat, Iko Uwais, is allegedly making a deal. The team prepares for insertion, the familiar click and clack of weapons being armed echoing in the cramped plane cabin. Christmas, ever the pragmatist, ensures his knives are perfectly weighted, a subtle glint catching the light. As they approach the target, the tension mounts, a low hum beneath the thrumming engines. Barney, ever the leader, gives the signal. Christmas is the first one out, a shadow dropping silently into the compound, his movements precise and deadly. He moves through the darkened corridors, dispatching guards with the efficiency of a well-oiled machine, each thud and choked gasp barely audible above the distant rumble of the base. Gunnar and Toll Road follow, a more direct, brute force approach, their heavy footsteps punctuated by the sharp cracks of suppressed gunfire. You can almost feel the concussive force of each shot, the slight vibration through the ground as bullets find their mark. The team converges on the main building, a flurry of coordinated violence. Doors are kicked in with splintering force. Enemies are disarmed and taken down with practiced ease. It's a symphony of chaos, each member playing their part perfectly. Gunnar, with a slightly unhinged grin, unleashes a barrage of bullets, covering his teammates. Toll Road, a rock of muscle, slams through opponents, the sounds of bone meeting flesh sickeningly clear. They soon find Rahmat, a man who moves with a terrifying grace, clearly not someone to be underestimated. He's surrounded by his heavily armed goons, and the room explodes into a full-blown firefight. Bullets tear through the air, spitting sparks against concrete and metal. The clatter of spent casings mixes with the shouts and groans of combatants. Christmas, in his element, ducks and weaves, his knives appearing and disappearing with lethal speed. He's a whirlwind of motion, a blur of silver and muscle, taking down multiple assailants in close quarters. It's the kind of fight choreography that reminds you why these movies exist: pure, unadulterated, beautifully executed mayhem. However, Rahmat proves to be a slippery adversary. He fights back with an impressive display of martial arts, matching Christmas's speed and precision. The two engage in a brutal hand-to-hand exchange, each blow carrying visible weight, the grunts of exertion audible as they trade strikes. It's a dance of death, precise and devastating. Christmas manages to corner him, his knife pressed against Rahmat's throat, but before he can extract information, something goes wrong. A miscalculation, a momentary lapse, and Rahmat slips away, making off with the detonators. As if that wasn't bad enough, a massive explosion rocks the compound. Barney, who had been providing air support, swoops in, calling out for an extraction. The ground beneath their feet trembles, and plumes of smoke and debris erupt around them. It's a race against time to get out of there, the air thick with the smell of burning fuel and cordite. The team scrambles onto the plane, but then comes the gut punch. Amidst the chaos, Toll Road is caught in a secondary explosion. The deafening roar of the blast, followed by an agonizing silence, hangs heavy in the air. Barney, with a look of pure anguish, is forced to fly away, leaving his friend behind. The metallic clang of the plane door shutting feels like a final, crushing punctuation mark on their failure and loss. It's a genuinely shocking moment, a reminder that even the Expendables aren't invincible, and that every mission carries a real, painful cost. Back in the dimly lit sanctity of their usual bar, the weight of Toll Road's death hangs heavy over the remaining Expendables. The usual boisterous laughter and clinking of glasses are replaced by a somber silence, broken only by the mournful clink of Barney pouring another drink. Lee Christmas, usually stoic, looks haunted, his jaw clenched so tight you can almost hear his teeth grind. Gunner, for all his eccentricities, is visibly distraught, his eyes red-rimmed. The air itself feels thick with unspoken grief and guilt. Then comes the call from Marsh, Andy Garcia, their CIA handler, a man whose patience seems as thin as his hairline. He's not here to offer condolences, but to deliver a harsh reality check. Marsh lambasts them for the botched mission, for losing the detonators, and most importantly, for the catastrophic loss of life and property. The cold, unfeeling tone of his voice contrasts sharply with the team's raw emotion, adding fuel to the fire of their frustration. He tells Barney, in no uncertain terms, that the team is officially disbanded. The Expendables, as they know them, are over. This news hits Barney hard, not just professionally, but personally. His team is his family, and to have it ripped apart, especially after losing Toll Road, is a devastating blow. The scene highlights the internal struggle of a leader who feels responsible for his team's fate. He slams his glass down, the sharp crack echoing in the quiet bar. He tries to argue, to plead, but Marsh is unyielding. The decision is final. No more missions, no more Expendables. Christmas, ever the hothead, tries to stand up for Barney, but his frustration boils over, manifesting as an outburst against his friend. He blames Barney for the mission's failure, for trusting his gut over concrete intel, for leading them into a trap that cost them Toll Road. The dialogue is sharp, cutting, fueled by grief and the blame game that often follows tragedy. The accusations sting, and Barney, usually quick to retort, simply absorbs them, the weight of command pressing down on him. The argument quickly escalates, threatening to tear apart their already fragile bond. It's the kind of raw, emotional scene that adds a layer of depth to these otherwise action-heavy characters, reminding us that even hardened mercenaries feel the sting of betrayal and loss. In the midst of this heated exchange, Marsh delivers another bombshell. Christmas is being held responsible for the mission's failure too. He's suspended from active duty, effectively sidelined. This decision, seemingly made to appease higher-ups, only further isolates Christmas, making him feel like a scapegoat. The injustice of it all hangs in the air, a silent accusation against a system that often sacrifices its pawns. Barney, reeling from the loss of Toll Road, the disbandment of his team, and now the rift with Christmas, is at his lowest. He makes a fateful decision, one that seems to confirm his acceptance of their new reality. He gives Christmas his prized lucky ring, a symbol of their friendship and the team's legacy. It's a quiet, poignant moment, filled with a sense of finality. The metallic clink of the ring as Christmas takes it feels like the closing of a chapter. Barney tells Christmas that he's done, that this life is no longer for him. It's a statement born of profound weariness and sorrow. As Barney leaves the bar, presumably to disappear into the quiet anonymity he craves, Christmas watches him go, the ring heavy in his palm. The distant wail of a police siren seems to mock the silence, a reminder of the world's continued chaos despite their personal devastation. Moments later, a news report blares across the bar's television screen. Barney Ross's plane has crashed, engulfed in a fiery explosion, leaving no survivors. The screen shows a terrifying plume of black smoke against a blue sky, the unmistakable sign of a catastrophic failure. The news reporter's detached voice pronounces him dead, a stark contrast to the living, breathing legend his friends knew. The news hits Christmas like a physical blow. The ring suddenly feels like a cursed object. His friend, his leader, his surrogate father figure is gone. The rage and grief that had been simmering beneath the surface boil over into a furious, guttural roar.
He smashes a bottle against the wall, the glass shattering with a violent spray, a raw expression of his helplessness and sorrow. The bar, which had been a sanctuary, now feels like a tomb. But Christmas, being Christmas, can't just sit there and mourn. The injustice of it all, the suddenness of Barney's death, and the lingering questions about Ramat and the detonators gnaw at him. He starts to suspect something deeper, something beyond a simple plane crash. His internal detective mode kicks in, a subtle shift in his usually straightforward demeanor. The weight of the ring in his hand becomes less a burden and more a motivator. He decides, with a steely glint in his eye, that he's going to investigate. He's going to find out what really happened, no matter the cost. His personal quest begins, driven by loyalty, grief, and a burning need for answers. The sounds of a city continuing its indifferent rhythm outside the bar only solidify his resolve. The world might move on, but Lee Christmas won't rest until he knows the truth. Christmas, now a man without a team and without a purpose, save for his burning need for answers, finds himself adrift. His suspension means he's off the official grid, but that just means he's free to operate in the shadows, unburdened by rules or regulations. He starts his own quiet investigation, piecing together fragments of information, chasing down leads that the official channels would ignore. He uses his underworld contacts, his network of shady characters and information brokers, people who operate in the gray areas where the truth often hides. The whispered conversations, the clink of coins exchanging hands, the nervous glances in dimly lit alleys, it's a whole different kind of espionage, gritty and personal.
He follows a convoluted trail that eventually leads him to Thailand. The vibrant chaos of Bangkok is a stark contrast to the grim determination etched on his face. The sounds of tuk-tuks zipping by, the smell of street food, the cacophony of a bustling market, it's all just background noise to his singular focus. He's looking for a specific contact, someone known for their ability to acquire anything. His pursuit takes him to an illegal fight club, a den of raw, brutal energy. The air is thick with the smell of sweat, stale beer, and the metallic tang of blood. The crowd roars, a primal symphony accompanying each bone-jarring punch and kick. The crack of knuckles against flesh, the muffled thud of bodies hitting the mat. It's an environment Christmas understands. He's not there for the fights, though. He's looking for someone who can help him find Ramat, or at least point him in the right direction. He navigates the throng of gamblers and thugs, his eyes scanning, assessing, always on guard. Suddenly, he finds himself face to face with Lash, Levi Tran, a new addition to the Expendables universe. She's introduced with a flourish, not as a damsel in distress, but as a formidable fighter, lean and quick, her movements as fluid as they are dangerous. She's trading blows with some unfortunate soul in the ring, each strike delivered with practiced precision and a hint of controlled fury. The crowd erupts as she finishes her opponent with a devastating kick, the sound of impact almost visceral. Their meeting is far from friendly. Christmas, still on edge from Barney's death and the general betrayal, is suspicious. Lash, for her part, is wary, her eyes sharp and assessing. They exchange terse words, a dance of veiled threats and mistrust. He needs her help, but she's not easily convinced, suspecting he's just another loose cannon. The air crackles with unspoken tension, a simmering conflict waiting for an excuse to explode. Just as their standoff reaches a peak, the place is raided by a different group of shadowy figures, Marsh's new Expendables team. This is a significant moment, showing the new generation stepping into the old crew's shoes. We're introduced to the rest of the new blood. Gina, Megan Fox, Christmas's ex-girlfriend, leading the charge with a steely gaze and an uncompromising demeanor. Easy Day, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, the tech expert with a smooth swagger, and Mars, Jacob Scipio, a sharpshooter who moves with an almost balletic grace.
There's also Galan, Jason Statham's real-life son, in a fun meta-touch, who is more comic relief than hardened pillar, but he tries his best. The raid quickly turns into a multi-directional brawl. Marsh's team is there to apprehend Lash, seeing her as a valuable asset, or perhaps a threat to be neutralized. Christmas, caught in the middle, finds himself fighting alongside Lash, a strange, temporary alliance forged in the heat of combat. It's a beautifully choreographed sequence, with various fighting styles clashing. Christmas uses his signature knives, Lash employs her acrobatic kicks and lightning-fast strikes, while Gina and the others showcase a more tactical, firearms-heavy approach. The sounds of punches connecting, the grunt of effort, the sharp crack of firearms, and the splintering of wooden furniture create a cacophony of violence. Amidst the chaos, Gina and Christmas inevitably cross paths. Their reunion is explosive, not with passion, but with residual anger and unspoken history. Their verbal sparring is as sharp as their physical movements, revealing a complicated past. They fight each other for a moment, a whirlwind of trained violence and emotional baggage, before realizing they are on the same side, or at least should be. The dynamic between them adds a layer of personal drama to the high-octane action. Marsh eventually steps in, stopping the fighting. He reveals that he knows Christmas is off the grid and investigating, and he also knows about Lash's connections. He's not here to arrest them, but to recruit them. He needs their combined skills for a new mission, one that involves finding Ramat and retrieving those damn detonators. The stakes are higher than ever, with global security hanging in the balance. Marsh lays out the mission with his usual no-nonsense attitude, painting a grim picture of what will happen if they fail. Christmas, still driven by the desire for answers and revenge for Barney, reluctantly agrees to join. Lash, seeing an opportunity for her own reasons, also agrees. The new team, a blend of old grudges and fresh faces, is formed, ready to confront the ghosts of the past and the threats of the present. The metallic click of guns being reloaded signifies their grim determination. With the new team assembled, albeit with some lingering tension between Christmas and Gina, Marsh lays out the grim reality of their mission. Ramat, the elusive terrorist, has vanished, and with him, the nuclear detonators. Marsh's intel suggests Ramat is planning something truly catastrophic, aiming to destabilize global powers. The weight of potential nuclear war hangs heavy in the air, a constant reminder of the stakes. The atmosphere in their makeshift command center is serious, the usual banter replaced by focused determination. The low hum of computers and the quiet rustle of maps being unrolled underscore the gravity of their task. The plan is multifaceted, requiring both brute force and high-tech infiltration. Easy Day, with his impressive array of gadgets and hacking skills, takes the lead on the technological front. He sets up a portable command center, a flurry of glowing screens and blinking lights, transforming an ordinary room into a hub of digital intelligence. The rapid tap-tap-tap of his fingers on the keyboard is the only sound as he sifts through encrypted data, his eyes darting across lines of code. He manages to pinpoint a potential location for Ramat, a remote, heavily fortified island compound. The satellite images reveal a maze of buildings and defensive positions, making it clear this won't be a walk in the park. The team begins their preparations, each member focusing on their area of expertise. Gina, ever the strategist, meticulously reviews blueprints and tactical maps, her finger tracing potential infiltration routes. Lash sharpens her already razor-sharp blades, the soft scrape of metal on stone, a strangely calming sound amidst the escalating tension. Mars checks his sniper rifle with the precision of a surgeon, ensuring every component is perfect, the subtle click of the bolt echoing in the quiet. Even Gunner, somehow reinstated or perhaps just showing up because he heard there was a party, oils his favorite machine gun, humming a discordant tune. The camaraderie, though different from the original team, begins to solidify. forged in the shared purpose of stopping a global catastrophe. As they finalize their plan, Christmas, unable to shake his suspicion about Barney's death, starts digging deeper into the initial mission's failure. He's haunted by the details, the timeline, the way Rahmat seemed to anticipate their moves. He corners Easy Day, urging him to re-examine the flight recorder data from Barney's crashed plane, specifically looking for anomalies. Easy Day, initially resistant to questioning the official narrative, eventually agrees, intrigued by Christmas's intensity. The soft whirring of the data drive as it's accessed is almost imperceptible, yet it signifies a crucial turning point. Meanwhile, the new team departs for the island, leaving Christmas behind. The roar of the plane's engines fills the air as they take off, a poignant symbol of Christmas being left on the sidelines, literally and figuratively. He watches them go, a grim determination etched on his face, convinced that his own investigation is just as vital.
The team arrives at the island, deploying under the cover of darkness. The waves crash against the rocky shore, a rhythmic pulse accompanying their silent approach. They infiltrate the compound with textbook precision. Gina leads the ground team, moving through the shadows like ghosts. Easy Day uses his tech to disable security cameras and hack into internal comms. The soft beep of his devices the only sound breaking the silence. Mars takes up a sniper position, his rifle scope sweeping the perimeter, the almost imperceptible click of its adjustment ring betraying his vigilance. Gunner provides heavy fire support, a low growl escaping his lips as he spots a target, his weapon delivering a swift, loud crack. They clear various sections of the compound, the action fast-paced and brutal. Hand-to-hand combat is interwoven with precise gunplay. Lash performs incredible acrobatic maneuvers, using the environment to her advantage, a blur of motion as she disarms and neutralizes guards. The thud of bodies hitting the ground, the muffled screams, the sharp, controlled bursts of gunfire create a tense atmosphere. However, as they delve deeper, things start to go sideways, because of course they do. The compound turns out to be more heavily defended than anticipated. Alarms blare, piercing the night with their shrill cry. Flashing red lights illuminate the corridors, transforming the infiltration into a desperate fight for survival. The team finds themselves pinned down, bullets ricocheting off their cover, the metallic clang a constant, deafening reminder of their predicament. They fight their way through waves of Rahmat's men, showcasing their individual skills in a symphony of coordinated destruction. Gina uses tactical explosives, the concussive force rattling the very foundations of the building. Easy Day, while still hacking, also proves adept with a sidearm, his shots surprisingly accurate for a tech guy. Mars picks off targets with uncanny precision from his perch, the distant thud of his rifle contrasting with the close-quarters mayhem. Just as the situation seems to be spiraling out of control, they finally confront Rahmat. He's not alone. He's surrounded by more heavily armed guards. The ensuing firefight is intense, a swirling maelstrom of bullets and bodies. The air is thick with the smell of gunpowder and the shouts of combat. Gina, Lash, and Gunner engage in brutal close-quarters combat, their movements fluid and deadly. Rahmat, true to form, proves to be an incredibly skilled fighter, holding his own against multiple attackers. He disarms and incapacitates several of the new recruits with his martial arts prowess, a terrifying display of controlled violence. The thud of his kicks, the sharp crack of his elbows, and the surprised gasps of his opponents punctuate the chaotic scene. The team manages to subdue Rahmat, but the victory is short-lived. Just as they're about to extract the detonators and secure him, a chilling revelation unfolds. Rahmat reveals that he's merely a pawn, a distraction. The real mastermind, the shadowy figure known as Ocelot, has been pulling the strings all along. And worse, Ocelot has already taken the detonators and is en route to a massive cargo ship where he plans to launch a devastating attack.
The blood drains from the team's faces as the implications sink in. The sounds of distant sirens, previously a threat, now seem like a mocking call, too late to prevent the impending disaster. The victory they thought they had achieved crumbles to dust, leaving behind a bitter taste of failure. Back at the temporary command center, Christmas is still relentlessly pursuing his own investigation, poring over the flight recorder data with easy day. The dull glow of the monitor casts shadows across their faces as they examine the readouts. Easy Day, initially skeptical, starts to see the inconsistencies Christmas has been pointing out. The official report states that Barney's plane suffered a mechanical failure, but the data tells a different story. There's a subtle but unmistakable anomaly, a digital ghost in the machine. Suddenly, a hidden message is deciphered from the black box. Not a distress call, but a pre-recorded message from Barney himself. His voice, gravelly but clear, fills the room. He explains his plan. He faked his death, knowing that Rakhmat, and more importantly, Ocelot, would only reveal their true intentions if they believed the Expendables were out of the picture. He knew they'd come for him, so he used himself as bait, a sacrificial lamb to draw out the real enemy. The sound of his voice, alive and determined, hits Christmas like a physical blow, a mix of relief and profound frustration. He's alive, but he was playing a dangerous, solitary game, keeping his closest friend in the dark. It's the ultimate Barney move, a high-stakes gamble only he would take. Just as this shocking revelation sinks in, Marsh contacts Christmas. The new team has been ambushed and captured on the cargo ship, and Ocelot is preparing to launch a full-scale nuclear attack. The clock is ticking, and the world is on the brink of nuclear annihilation. The urgent tone in Marsh's voice, usually so composed, underscores the dire situation. The fate of millions rests on their shoulders. Christmas, now armed with the truth about Barney and a renewed sense of purpose, springs into action. He knows he has to save his friends and stop Ocelot. He contacts Gunner, who, predictably, wasn't captured with the new team because he's Gunner. Gunner is already making his way towards the ship, having sensed something was amiss. The metallic clack of Gunner loading a fresh belt of ammo into his machine gun is a sound of grim determination. Christmas then enlists the help of an unlikely ally, Dacia, a former mercenary and Barney's old friend, now living a quiet life as a mechanic. Christmas finds him in a grimy garage, surrounded by the familiar scent of oil and gasoline. Dacia, played by Tony Jaa, is a force of nature in his own right, and initially he's reluctant to rejoin the fray, haunted by his own past. But when Christmas tells him about Barney's sacrifice and the impending nuclear disaster, Dacia's eyes harden with resolve. The low rumble of an engine being revved in the background seems to awaken his own dormant warrior spirit. He agrees to help, his movements fluid and purposeful as he begins to arm himself. The plan is simple, yet incredibly dangerous. Infiltrate the cargo ship, rescue the team, and stop Ocelot from launching the missiles. Christmas and Dacia acquire a speedboat, cutting through the choppy waters under the cover of night. The roar of the engine, the spray of salt water, and the chilling glint of moonlight on their weapons set a tense, urgent atmosphere. They breach the ship, a massive metal beast cutting through the dark ocean. The interior is a labyrinth of steel corridors and echoing compartments. They move with stealth and precision, a silent, deadly duo. Dacia, with his unparalleled martial arts skills, takes down guards with brutal efficiency, each punch and kick delivered with a sickening crunch. Christmas, meanwhile, uses his knives and firearms, a blur of motion and steel. The metallic clang of weapons, the muffled cries of surprised guards, and the subtle creak of the ship's hull create a tense soundscape. They locate the captured Expendables, held in a fortified section of the ship. The sight of his friends, bruised but defiant, reignites Christmas's fury. He and Dacia execute a daring rescue, dispatching the guards with a flurry of coordinated attacks. Gina, Lash, and the others, once freed, immediately grab their weapons and join the fight, a fresh wave of adrenaline pumping through them. The sound of their weapons being armed, the familiar click and slide, is a small, satisfying symphony of reunion and resolve. Now, the reunited team, a blend of old and new, faces their ultimate challenge, Ocelot. They track him to the ship's bridge, where he's surrounded by his elite guard, the launch sequence already counting down on a massive screen. The ominous red glow of the timer casts a sinister light on the tense scene. The air crackles with anticipation, the stakes impossibly high. The final battle erupts in a deafening crescendo of gunfire, explosions, and brutal hand-to-hand combat. The ship's bridge becomes a war zone, a chaotic ballet of violence. The metallic clang of bullets against the ship's bulkhead, the sharp crack of exploding consoles, and the shouts of combatants fill the confined space. They locate the captured Expendables, held in a fortified section of the ship. The sight of his friends, bruised but defiant, reignites Christmas's fury. He and Daicha execute a daring rescue, dispatching the guards with a flurry of coordinated attacks. Gina, Lash, and the others, once freed, immediately grab their weapons and join the fight, a fresh wave of adrenaline pumping through them. The sound of their weapons being armed, the familiar click and slide, is a small, satisfying symphony of reunion and resolve. Now, the reunited team, a blend of old and new, faces their ultimate challenge, Ocelot. They track him to the ship's bridge, where he's surrounded by his elite guard, the launch sequence already counting down on a massive screen. The ominous red glow of the timer casts a sinister light on the tense scene. The air crackles with anticipation, the stakes impossibly high. The final battle erupts in a deafening crescendo of gunfire, explosions, and brutal hand-to-hand combat. The ship's bridge becomes a war zone, a chaotic ballet of violence. The metallic clang of bullets against the ship's bulkhead, the sharp crack of exploding consoles, and the shouts of combatants fill the confined space.
Christmas immediately engages Ramat, who is still on the bridge, perhaps serving as Ocelot's personal enforcer. Their previous encounter had been a stalemate, but this time, it's personal. The fight between Christmas and Ramat is a masterclass in close-quarters combat. Ramat, with his lightning-fast martial arts, moves like a viper, his strikes precise and powerful. Christmas, fueled by anger and the desire for revenge for Toll Road, fights with a raw, desperate intensity, his knives a blur of silver. The sounds of their bodies colliding, the grunts of exertion, and the occasional clang of metal as a knife deflects a blow make every moment feel incredibly real. They exchange a brutal series of kicks, punches, and takedowns, each blow carrying the weight of their past encounters. Meanwhile, Gina confronts Ocelot. This isn't just a physical fight, it's a battle of wits and wills. Ocelot, cold and calculating, reveals his full plan to instigate a global conflict that will reshape the world order. He's not just a terrorist, he's a nihilistic ideologue. Gina, however, is not easily deterred. She fights with a fierce determination, her movements precise and powerful, reflecting her military training. The sound of her fists connecting with Ocelot's guards is sharp and decisive. Decha, Gunner, Lash, Easy Day, and Mars engage Ocelot's remaining forces in a swirling melee. Decha is a whirlwind of devastating kicks and elbow strikes, his movements fluid and incredibly fast, each blow delivered with bone-shattering force. Gunner unleashes a barrage of heavy machine gun fire, his weapon a thunderous roar, sweeping through enemies like a destructive force. Lash uses her acrobatic skills, spinning and kicking, disarming opponents with graceful efficiency. Easy Day, surprisingly agile for a tech expert, uses a combination of clever tactics and surprisingly effective close combat, ducking and weaving while still offering tactical support. Mars picks off targets with pinpoint accuracy, his sniper rifle now a close-quarters weapon of devastating precision. The countdown continues on the screen, a relentless reminder of the impending disaster. The tension is palpable, a tight knot in the pit of your stomach. Explosions rip through sections of the bridge as the fighting intensifies, sending debris and sparks flying. The ship itself groans under the strain of the combat and the distant, concussive forces.
Christmas finally corners Ramat. Their fight reaches its brutal climax. Christmas, managing to disarm Ramat, delivers a series of powerful, guttural punches, fueled by his grief and rage. Ramat, though injured, refuses to yield, his eyes burning with defiance. The final blow is delivered with a sickening thud, and Ramat collapses, defeated. Christmas stands over him, breathing heavily, his hands still trembling from the exertion and the emotional toll.
As Gina closes in on Ocelot, the true twist is revealed. Ocelot isn't just some shadowy figure. He's the same handler, Marsh, who initially disbanded the team. The betrayal is a bitter pill to swallow, adding a layer of personal anguish to the already high stakes. The revelation hits Gina with the force of a physical blow, a moment of stunned disbelief amidst the chaos. The clatter of falling debris seems to mock the shocking truth. Marsh, now fully revealed as Ocelot, attempts to launch the missiles manually, a desperate final act. Gina, recovering from the shock, lunges at him, engaging in a furious, desperate struggle. The fate of the world hangs in the balance, quite literally. Their fight is a brutal, no-holds-barred exchange, fueled by betrayal and the ultimate goal. She uses her tactical training, her every move aimed at stopping him. The sharp clang of her fist against his jaw, the grunt of his exertion, the desperate scrabble of their hands on the launch console, it's a raw, visceral struggle. Just as Ocelot is about to trigger the launch, a figure emerges from the smoke and chaos. Barney Ross, alive and kicking. He's been hiding, waiting for the precise moment to strike, to ensure Ocelot's plan comes crashing down. The sight of him, still rugged and defiant, is a monumental moment, the culmination of his grand, dangerous gamble. He enters the fray, a classic action hero entrance, his presence immediately shifting the balance of power. The collective gasp of the team, quickly replaced by shouts of relief and renewed determination, reverberates through the damaged bridge. Barney, with the help of Christmas and Gina, finally corners Ocelot. The final confrontation is quick and decisive, a brutal end to the orchestrator of all this chaos. The precise crack of a well-placed shot from Barney, the satisfying thud as Ocelot falls, silence descending on the bridge, broken only by the fading beeps of the missile countdown, now disarmed. The mission accomplished, the world saved, and the team reunited. Barney, ever the understated leader, offers a wry smile, a silent apology for his deception, but a clear affirmation of his loyalty. Christmas, relieved and perhaps a little annoyed, punches him playfully, the sound of the contact a light-hearted symbol of their enduring friendship. The metallic clang of the ship's alarms, now slowly powering down, signifies the end of the immediate threat. The Expendables, though battered and bruised, stand victorious, having once again stared down the apocalypse and walked away. The distant wail of emergency sirens, this time is a sound of rescue, not regret. As the dust settles on the cargo ship, the sounds of battle replaced by the mournful creak of the damaged vessel, a quiet understanding washes over the surviving Expendables. They gather, battered and weary, but united by their shared ordeal. The air, still thick with the smell of cordite and the lingering tension of near disaster, slowly begins to clear. Barney Ross, having pulled off the ultimate disappearing act, stands amongst them, his presence a comforting anchor. There's a quiet exchange of glances, an unspoken apology for the deception, and a palpable sense of relief that he's alive. His gamble paid off, but not without immense personal cost to his friends. Christmas, ever the pragmatic one, probably still has a few choice words for Barney about the whole faking his own death thing, but it's clear the bond is unbroken. The new team members, Gina, Lash, Easy Day, and Mars, have proven their worth, earning their stripes in the crucible of battle. They fought alongside the legends, not as replacements, but as true Expendables. They showed bravery, skill, and an unwavering commitment to the mission. Their baptism by fire forged a new kind of camaraderie,
different from the old guard, but just as strong. The clink of their weapons being secured, the soft murmur of their conversations, speak of a new chapter for the team. A passing of the torch, perhaps, but with the old guard still very much in the game. Even Gunner, with his unique brand of enthusiasm, looks a little more grounded, a little more appreciative of the team he almost lost. The quiet hum of the ship's generators, slowly restoring power, feels like the pulse of a world given a second chance, a quiet testament to their sacrifice and resilience. What makes Expend4bles special, despite its occasional rough edges, is its unapologetic embrace of pure, unadulterated action cinema. It's a movie that doesn't take itself too seriously, yet delivers on its promise of high-octane thrills, spectacular explosions, and bone-crunching fights. It reminds us that sometimes all you need is a group of larger-than-life heroes saving the world with fists and firearms. It's a nostalgic nod to a genre that thrives on spectacle, offering a blast of adrenaline and a few good laughs along the way.